On behalf of the South African Bar Association, I welcome you all. Today's afternoon session is held by Advocate Hlalele Molotsi, SC, from the Legal Practice Council. Without any further ado, I now hand the welcome to be done by Advocate Bart Ford in this regard. Bart?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much to One and All for joining. And thank you to our speaker, Advocate Hlalele Molotsi, SC, from the Legal Practice Council, who will be addressing the topic of the advocates' admission exams. By way of introduction, Advocate Molotsi has a strong labor background, and there are far too many accolades to mention in the time slot allotted to me. Safe to say that he joined the bar in 2000. He was a commissioner of the CCMA for an extended period of time. He is well known for his contribution to the labor fraternity. And as a member on the LPC's National Committee, is the person that will be addressing us on the issue of the advocates' admission exams and issues related thereto. So without further ado, Advocate Molotsi, thank you so much for joining us, Council, and thank you for your time and for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Ben. I really appreciate the invitation. And ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great honor to address all of you. You know my name by now. I'm a full council member of the LPC. I'm also a member of the Education Standard and Accreditation Committee of the LPC, which is a council committee. And I'm also a member of PABASA. I practice from Victoria at Newcourt Chambers. Now I'm here to talk to you on behalf of the Education and Standard and Accreditation Committee of the LPC. I've seen some of the flyers that it is called the examination department. The correct wording is the Education Standard and Accreditation Committee. Now, very briefly, the committee, as I've said, is a committee of council, which is responsible for recommending to council in respect of all matters concerning the legal education of legal practitioners and candidate legal practitioners. The committee is also responsible to recommend to council for the appointment of any service providers which will conduct any education and training on behalf of council, the LPC. Part of the mandate of the committee is to ensure that the committee, through recommendations to council and eventually council making a decision, if they so desire, to remove any barriers in the legal profession relating to training and education, and to make sure that aspirant legal practitioners have the ability and opportunities to make sure that they have successful practices after their admissions. So that is basically what the committee does. And I'm here to talk to you in respect of the committee. I'm not here to talk about one thing, and I want to make it very clear. I'm not here to talk about the GCB circular dated the 4th of May, 2021. The LPC is aware of that circular. The LPC has written letters to the GCB and its constituent bars. the GCB has responded and the constituent bars have responded. The committee that I serve in will have a meeting tomorrow to deliberate on that circular and the responses of the GCB. And the committee will make a recommendation to the full council. And it is only the full council of the LPC which will make a decision in respect of this issue. So I want to make that very clear so that I'm not misconstrued in any other way. And I trust that you understand where I come from. The LPC has not yet taken a decision in respect of that circular. We are following our internal processes, and LPC on its own time, when it's ready to do so, it will make a pronouncement on that issue. Now, having said that, what I intend doing today is to take you through the LPC legislative framework. I'll take you through the powers of the LPC. I'll take you through the powers of the LPC in respect of conducting the assessments for admissions of advocates. And I'll also take you through when was the decision taken by the LPC that this year, 2021, the LPC will be conducting the assessments for advocates. And when were the bars, all the voluntary associations, when were they informed in respect of that decision of the LPC? I'll also lastly conclude with reference to stakeholders' engagements with the various bars in respect of assisting the LPC to come up with a successful examination paper for all of you. Now, as you're well aware, the LPC, or rather the LPA, came into existence on the 1st of November 2018, by implication, the LPC as well. Now, the LPC, as you're well aware, is a statutory body which was established by the Legal Practice Act. And of particular significance, ladies and gentlemen, when you talk about legal education and training, and broadly the objectives of the LPC, the LPA in Section 3 provides that it provides for a legislative framework for the fundamental transformation and restructuring of legal profession in line with the constitutional imperatives, and to broaden access in South Africa, access to justice. Now, that's going to be the theme and key of my presentation today. Constitutional imperatives of broadening access to justice, transformation of the legal profession, and its restructuring. Now, Section 4 of the LPA establishes the Legal Practice Council. And you will notice that in terms of Section 5 of the Legal Practice Council, the objectives of council are stated there. And I'm going to very briefly go through them, which is to facilitate the realization of the goal of a transformed and restructured legal profession that is accountable, efficient, and independent, to regulate all legal practitioners and candidate legal practitioners. I repeat, to regulate all legal practitioners and candidate legal practitioners, to remove any unnecessary barriers for the entry to the profession, to preserve and uphold the independence of the profession, to promote access to the legal profession in pursuit of a legal profession that broadly represents the demographics of the Republic. Now, In terms of Section 6, which deals with the powers and functions of the LPC, one of the provisions there states the following, that the LPC must do all things necessary for the proper and effective performance of its functions or exercise of its powers. Now, when you properly read Section 3, Section 4, and Section 5 and 6 of the LPC, you realize that in fact the LPC powers and functions are far-reaching and wide. They are far-reaching and wide in that where legal practitioners and candidate legal practitioners are concerned, the LPC powers finds application. Where legal practitioners and candidate legal practitioners are concerned, the LPC powers and functions are implicated. I say that, colleagues, to say to you that there is no holy cows. There are no holy cows in respect of the powers and functions of the LPC. Where legal practitioners are, where candidate legal practitioners are, the LPC is there. Now, the issue regarding the legal, the restructuring of the legal profession as being an issue that has been part of the public discourse for a while, for many years, and which resulted in the promulgation of the LPA. As the LPC, we consider and appreciate all the stakeholders in the legal profession. The stakeholders, voluntary associations, the attorneys professions, all of them, they're an important stakeholder and they need to play an important role in respect of assisting the LPC to achieve and promote its objectives and to fulfill its powers and functions. With that in mind, colleagues, some of the work that the LPC has done, I'm sure you're familiar with the recently concluded process in respect of the legal sector code. We also engage in various institutions like SACITA in respect of enhancing and monitoring programs in the profession, and also assisting us in removing unnecessary barriers in respect of entry to the profession. Now, when it comes to terms, you find our powers in Section 28 of the Legal Practice Act. Now, it's important to state the following. The LPC will be conducting the exams in respect of admissions of advocates in 2021. Nobody has been accredited by the LPC to conduct the assessment exams on its behalf. Only the LPC in 2021 will be conducting examinations in respect of admissions and enrollment of pupils as advocates. And I want to emphasize this, no one, the LPC is doing the work. And this decision, ladies and gentlemen, was taken on the 6th of June, 2020. And all the all the voluntary associations, meaning the BAS, GCB, they were informed on it when LPC this year will be conducting admissions exams for advocates. I repeat, the LPC took this decision in June 2020, 29th of July. All the voluntary associations, all the BAS, including the GCB, they were informed that the LPC in 2021 will be conducting examinations, admissions examinations for advocates. So it's not new. I want to make that very categorically clear. It's not new. It's a decision that was taken last year and all the important stakeholders were informed. Now, we accept that the LPC, this is the first time is doing something of this nature. And on the basis of such acceptance, LPC decided to involve all the stakeholders, all the voluntary associations, the BAS, including the GCB, to assist the LPC in the formulation of these exam question papers. The LPC, noting that it could not do this on its own and that it needed assistance, started a consultative process with the BAS to assist the LPC in setting up the examination. So the examinations that you're going to receive, ladies and gentlemen, will be administered under the LPC, but your respective BAS and the GCB would have played a significant role in those examinations by assisting the LPC to come to those examination question papers. We have not done this on our own because we needed the assistance. I think that's a very important message to bring forth so that it avoids confusion, as if the LPC has decided to do this on its own at the exclusion of the relevant stakeholders. The relevant stakeholders are playing a significant role in assisting the LPC to set up the question papers. Now, in part and parcel of that consultative process, the committee that I'm a member of invited a lot of the voluntary associations to a meeting which took place, if my memory serves me well, sometime on the 25th of March, 2021. In that meeting, all the constituent BAS, they were fully aware and they knew what the LPC position was in respect of the people's exams this year. And hence they took part in that meeting. The GCB was present in that meeting, PABASA was present in that meeting. The National Bar Association of South Africa was present in that meeting. And the National Forum of Advocates were also present in that meeting. Part of the resolutions in respect of that meeting was that the LPC was going to provide a reading list to all pupils so that they know what will be covered in the examination. Indeed, that process commenced, and the LPC team prepared the reading list. The reading list was given, ladies and gentlemen, to all the voluntary associations to have a look at them and for them to input in respect of the reading list. The feedback that we got from the officials were that the bus were happy with the reading list. The reading list came to the committee and the committee approved the reading list. Hence, you were able to receive the reading list, I think, on the 11th of May. So again, I want to emphasize that the production of the reading list is not, again, something that the LPC picked up in the air. It is part and parcel of a consultative process which involved all the relevant stakeholders. And the relevant stakeholders in this instance are the voluntary associations. They played a part. Now that's also very important to make it clear so that there should not be a narrative out there that LPC is doing this on its own and so forth and so forth. We are involving the stakeholders, and the stakeholders are playing a role. Now, the following, in the beginning of the year, the LPC approved and accredited the following service providers to conduct pupillage training in 2021. You must listen very carefully, because if I don't read out the name of your organization, it means your organization is not accredited by the LPC to conduct any training in 2021. Law Society of South Africa, Pan African Bar Association of South Africa, National Bar Council of South Africa, National Forum of Advocates, Johannesburg Society of Advocates, Pretoria Society of Advocates, Cape Bar, Free State Society of Advocates, Eastern Cape Society of Advocates, Port Elizabeth, Eastern Society of Advocates, Grahamstown, Society of Advocates of KwaZulu-Natal, Northern Cape Society of Advocates, Bishop Society of Advocates, Northwest Bar Association, Mthatha Society of Advocates, Polokwane Society of Advocates, Mpumalanga Society of Advocates. Those are the only 17 service providers that were accredited by the LPC to conduct training of pupils. And this is very important, to conduct only training of pupils in 2021. None of them, they were accredited to conduct any assessment in 2021. Very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. Now, in respect of making sure that everybody is clear, from the committee side, there is no confusion here. There is no confusion because the LPC is exercising its statutory powers, and the LPC communicated its decision last year already, as I've said to you, in July 2020, to the bars. And to the extent that the communication to the pupils was done on the 11th of May, I think via circular. But what is important is that those bars that you are doing your pupillage with, they were fully aware as early as 29 July 2020 that this year this is going to be the position. Now, in respect of your, who must write the assessments? We're saying that everyone who has his or her PVT contract registered with the provincial councils of the LPC, they must write the exams for admissions as advocates. If you do not have a PVT contract that is registered, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot write the exams. And obviously, you also write the exams when you are undergoing your pupillage. So it's two things. One, PVT registered, and you are doing your pupillage. Now, in respect of individuals who were admitted or are already admitted and they're doing pupillage, of course, you know very well what Section 115 of the LPA says. And you know very well what the SCA recently pronounced in respect of Section 115. Those individuals who before 1 November 2018 were entitled to be admitted and enrolled, they can be so admitted by making your normal applications in the High Court. Now, obviously, in respect of the SCA judgment, I'm informed that the LPC is taking the matter to the Constitutional Court, and hopefully would in due course hear exactly how Section 115 must be interpreted. Now, if a candidate has completed their Bachelor of Laws degree after 1 November 2018, you have to obviously write our exams. You are doing pupillage, you have registered your PVT contract. And after you are found to be competent by the LPC, you can then proceed with your application. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the content of our examination, you have also received, I'm informed, and I've seen the notice myself, the examination format for pupils in 2021. This examination format is derived and is based on the provisions of Regulation 7. I'm sure you are quite aware of what Regulation 7 says, because it relates to you as pupils. Of significance for pupils is Regulation 7, subsection 9. Now, those regulations says the following, so that at least you are aware why we say you're going to write the exams as per the examination format. Those regulations read as follows, and I quote, the compulsory coursework referred to subsection 1 must be standardized and uniform and comprise the following modules. Pupils intending to be admitted as advocates referred to in section 34, subsection 2B of the Act. I mean, I assume those are the trust account advocates. They must do a bookkeeping as contemplated in Regulation 610. Now, for everybody else, you will be doing advocacy skills, including trial and motion court proceedings, and attendance of court proceedings, alternative dispute resolution, civil procedure, criminal procedure, professional conduct, and legal ethics of advocates, legal writing and drafting, constitutional law and or customary law, and lastly, information and communication technology. Now, when you look at the examination format, it covers all of those issues, because paper 1, which you will be writing on the 1st of September, and you will recall paper 1 is a motion court proceedings and information and communications technology. Now, that's in terms of Regulation 79B and 79I. There, you can tick the box. This is what the regulation says you must do before you must pass this course so that you can be found to be competent and so that you can be admitted and enrolled as an advocate. Paper 2 is trial court proceedings and alternative dispute resolution. That you found at Regulation 79B, 79C, and 79D. Paper 3, which is your criminal procedure, which you will be writing on the 2nd of September. You found that in 79E. Paper 4, which is ethics, constitutional law, and customary law, you'll find that at 79F and 79H. And paper 5, which you'll be writing on the 8th of September, you'll find that at 79G. Now, this is all what you are required to do and to pass in order for you to be admitted and enrolled as an advocate. Now, I'm informed by officials of council that the issue regarding trial advocacy, the questions in respect of trial advocacy, they will be in the papers. You'll find them in paper 1 and paper 2. So trial advocacy is covered in the exams, I'm informed, and you'll find that in paper 1 and paper 2. Some of the questions in paper 1 and paper 2 will deal with trial advocacy skills. So I think that's important so that you are aware of that as well. And obviously, the total mark for the exams is 50, and the pass mark is 50%. Now, in case that you receive between 40 and 49%, all is not lost. you will then go for your oral, and hopefully there you'll be successful. But I trust and I know that all of you, you'll want to pass and achieve the 50% mark immediately, so that you are not going to be subjecting yourself to further stresses of oral exams and so forth and so forth. But ladies and gentlemen, even if after you have failed, the LPC is contemplating the idea that from next year, March, next year in 2022, there will be 2 sets of exams. The officials indicated to me that the first set of exams will be in March, and then the second set of exams will be in September. So rest assured that even if you are not successful at the end of this year, soon thereafter in March, you will have an opportunity to redeem yourself and pass, and so that you can then achieve your dream of being an advocate. When there is an alternative for you to achieve your dream, and that alternative is provided to you in March, I don't know why you would want to go and repeat the entire year. So think about that. Yes, Ben, I think I'm done. So as I conclude, I'll say that, ladies and gentlemen, from our side, we're saying that there is no confusion here. We made the decision last year, and if for you want to be admitted as an advocate, you must write our exams. The issue about you writing 2 exams, like I said, is an issue that we are dealing with internally. And when we are ready, the LPC will make its decision known in respect of that. Thank you very much, Benford. I'm ready, sir, for questions, if there are any.
Advocate Molotsi, thank you so much for the time. And thank you so much for making yourself available and for the presentation. I gather there may very well be a number of questions. So what we'll ask of our participants, if any of you wish to raise your hand or ask a question, please, if you can, note that in the communication box, or whatever we call this thing. And then also let AJ know. And then as soon as you put it into the discussion box, we will then raise it. And then we'll unmute you and have you then put your question to Advocate Molotsi.
Advocate Molotsi, while we're waiting for questions, I indeed have a question. Bringing you back to the issue of transformation, I attended a presentation by the former Chief Justice Sandile Nkobo surrounding transformation. Something that stood out during his address was something that he said. In this regard, he said that South Africa was viewed as a business gateway to Africa, and as a result, economists had predicted an increase in investments, which would require skilled corporate lawyers to deal with these developments. He stated that this work was unlikely to be offered to previously disadvantaged individuals who lacked the necessary expertise due to the country's past. When Nkobo was asked how the profession could ensure that these individuals also had access to these opportunities, he stated that the key to unlock these opportunities for previously disadvantaged individuals and physically challenged individuals, this in turn would lead to exposure to these opportunities for Black lawyers and to the selection of previously disadvantaged corporate law judges, who would be equipped to deal with such matters. What is your view on that regard, Council?
Yes, I mean, look, transformation is a journey, it's a process, and indeed, we can only achieve transformation when Blacks, particularly Black women, are given opportunities. We can't talk of transformation and not talk about giving Blacks, and particularly Black women, opportunities. And because transformation is a journey, and in a journey of transformation, sometimes you'll receive resistance. As anything else in life, change is not easy, and that sometimes when people see change, they are afraid, they're scared, and they don't know what the future holds. And all I'm saying is that for the organization that I represent here today, because we have the legislative power behind us, which is the Legal Practice Act, we are not going to negotiate on transformation. Transformation of the legal profession will happen. Transformation of the legal profession is a necessity, and we will do so without any fear or favor. As long as we are protected and covered by the law, we are emboldened to push forward with transformation. And we're saying to legal practitioners, all the legal practitioners, please join the LPC on this transformation journey. Make opportunities available for Black practitioners, particularly Black females, so that they can also have opportunities to flourish and have successful practices in the future. We need them in the future to be the judges of our future. So transformation is very important. Yes, thank you very much. I hope I've answered your question.
You have. Thank you so much, Council. Council,
Thank you, Council.
There's a question from Ahmed Kaji. How many attempts will a candidate be allowed to pass the LPC exam?
Well, the attempts are not limited. What you have as an opportunity is to make sure that you pass the first time. If you can't pass the first time, like I said, in March already, next year, there is a possibility that you'll have an opportunity again to write the LPC exams. So you will always have an opportunity. You don't have one opportunity, two opportunities. You are given an opportunity to make sure that you pass. Hence, I made the point earlier indirectly to say, if you are going to be provided with an opportunity in March to write the LPC exams in order for you to be admitted as an advocate, why would you want to go and repeat the entire pupillage program? You be the judge of that.
Thank you, Council. There's a question from someone else that says, good afternoon, advocate. When is the portal going to be open to register for the exam?
I can't hear.
The officials informed me that the portal will be open before the end of May 2021.
Thank you, Council. The next question is
when the portal is open, the communication will be issued in respect of that. But I'm informed that it will be open before end of May 2021.
Thank you, Council. The next question is from Zambini. She states, does this mean that the GCB will no longer be administering exams this year and that only one exam will be administered? That being the LPC exam. I think you made that clear.
Yes, I'm not going to answer that question for now. There's a process in respect of that. Thank you.
Andrew, and is there any further?
I think concessions will.
Council?
Yes.
Okay, to those participants that have placed their hands up, might you please unmute yourself and ask the question directly to the advocate?
Laura was first. May I go after her?
Oh, thank you so much, Jay.
Pleasure.
Good day, Council. You've dealt with the setting of the exam. I just wanted to find out who exactly will be marking and moderating the papers.
All right. You would have seen. You would have seen that yesterday the LPC issued a notice inviting advocates who have not less than 7 years in practice to raise their hands to be invited as examiners, as markers, and eventually as people who will also be responsible for orals. So that invitation went out yesterday, and I'm hoping that those advocates who qualify will raise their hands and participate in this very important process.
Thank you, Council.
Good afternoon, Council.
Afternoon.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Mine is a very short one. Is there a cost that is attached to the registration? Is there a registration fee?
Well, I'm really not sure about that. I will ask the officials in the meantime, and I promise you I'll revert back to you before the end of this session.
I appreciate that. It's Tsepi
Yes.
from Bata.
What's your name?
Tsepi, Tsepang Sergage from
All right.
Baba.
No, it's fine. And you will apologize when you see me looking at my phone. I'm sending a WhatsApp quickly to the officials to tell me if there is going to be a fee for registration.
Oh, yeah.
Council, whilst you're sending that WhatsApp, when we look at the number of questions coming in, and we know we only have an hour of your time, would you kindly indulge us for another 15 minutes? Until about 15 minutes after 5 to cover all the questions of the participants.
No problem. I'll be available.
Sir? Council, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay. I just want to ask this question. For those individuals who are going to write the exam in September, if they are successful in passing that particular exam, are they going to be automatically allowed to join individual bars such as Pretoria Bar or Polokwane Bar or Johannesburg Bar?
Yes, I mean that's a very good question, and it's a question that we asked the GCB and the constituent bars when we wrote them a letter, and like I said to you, unfortunately, I don't have any position in respect of that. The LPC is aware and is dealing with the issue. As I've said, tomorrow there is a committee meeting and there's only one agenda, and this is the issue that we'll be talking about. And thereafter, we'll be making a recommendation to full council, and it's the full council of the LPC which will make a decision. But your question is a very valid and fundamental question.
Chavunguye, your question?
Good afternoon, Council.
Afternoon.
I was asked to please ask this question on this platform. In terms of the content, which is the constitutional law and the customary law, there is significant mark allocation in the paper together with the huge reading list, and there's no past papers on these subjects. Can they be given, like, can we be provided with maybe examples of the kind of questions we'll be receiving, or a list or a narrowing of the reading list of sorts? Is it possible by any chance?
Yeah, look, I mean, the issue of the previous question papers, I think it's an issue that came up during our meeting with the stakeholders sometime in March. And given the LPC's own experience with the candidate attorneys exams, I think sometime this year or last year, we received a complaint from one of the attorneys. I think he or she was writing a notary exam or conveyancing exam. And she indicated that the question paper that she wrote was different to the previous question papers that she looked at. And I mean, the concern of the LPC was that, I mean, the issue of looking at the previous question papers is not something that would say that this is how you must expect the question to be like. And this time around, given that it's the LPC that is going to set up the exams with the assistance of the voluntary associations, obviously, when you prepare, you can look at the previous exam question papers, but your preparations cannot be only on those previous examination question papers. All I'm then saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that you must prepare thoroughly. Prepare thoroughly, and I know it's easier said than done, but you don't run a risk of only focusing on the previous exam questions. And unfortunately, when the question paper comes, you get a shock of your life. So my advice to you is that study everything that is on the reading list and prepare, make sure that you are ready for the exams. That is as far as I can advise you, because the issue of the previous question papers is an issue, and I'm not sure whether the LPC is finally taking a particular position, but in a committee meeting, there were those who were saying, but I mean, you can't have a situation where people are going to expect us to ask the same questions year in, and so forth. So I hope I've answered your question. And my last words to you is that please prepare everything. Don't just look at the previous question papers. I mean, all of you got study groups and the likes. You can always come up with individual questions that you think might come up. And you got your mentors who are all experienced. You belong to bars. So I think you got a lot of assistance that can be given to you so that you properly prepare.
Thank you much, Council.
Thanks, Council. Eric, you have a question? Okay, I don't think we have Eric anymore. Council, there's a question.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry, Council.
Yes, Eric, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah, my issue is about the number of exams that we are going to write, the people that have PVT contracts. Are we going to write the GCB and the LPC? And what happens if we are going to fail GCB and pass LPC, or vice versa? That's my confusion.
Yes, I've already,
I don't know if I'm clear.
Yes, no, you are quite clear, colleague. I've already mentioned and answered this issue. And I think it's important. And I know that this is a burning issue for all of you. And this is how I answered the previous people who asked the question. One, the LPC is aware of the GCB circular. Two, we've written to the GCB and all the constituent bars to seek clarity in respect of their circular. Three, the GCB and the constituent bars have responded to the LPC. Four, tomorrow, the LPC on the 21st of May, the Education Committee will meet and discuss this issue and make a recommendation to Council. Lastly, it's only the LPC full Council that will make a decision on your question. I hope I became more clear.
Okay, no, it's clear as a daylight, Council.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Council.
On the question from Tepi, I'm informed that the registration is 345 for all papers. Not per paper is 345 for all the papers. The registration fee. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. I see there's Hlalele, your question. You raised your hand.
Is that Delay? Or is it?
Yes.
Hello.
Go for it. Your question.
Oh, okay. I see that there's one question which has not been answered in the box. It relates to the mock exams. Are we going to have mock exams? That's number one. Number two, I just want to particularly understand if one would have qualified as an attorney and now in joining Pupilish, registered the PVT contract. Do I understand that I must still sit for exams as those that would or would have to sit in terms of the LPC, the LPA?
Okay, now the first answer to your first question, mock exams, all the voluntary associations, they are conducting that, and you can go write mock exams. They are good for to test your readiness for the exams, and there is no issue with the mock exams. So everybody is encouraged to go write the mock exams. Now, if you're an attorney, you must write the LPC exams. You're an attorney, you are admitted, isn't it? So
I do know that we could convert at one stage. Yes.
Correct. Let me come to that. Yes. So there's no need for you to write the LPC exams. You can proceed by way of conversion. But like I said earlier, there is an issue about the conversion because LPC is of a particular view in respect of attorneys who have not done the advocacy training. And we know what the SCA said. The SCA said, no, LPC, you are creating additional qualifications, especially if you are admitted as an attorney before 1 November 2018. You are in a better position because that judgment said that you must proceed and be admitted. But like I said, the LPC is taking the matter to the Concord. But I think you are not prevented from making your application for conversion.
Would then I wouldn't have to go through this entire rigorous process of everyone else who must write bar exams.
Yes, you don't have to.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew, your question?
Council.
Good afternoon, Council.
Afternoon.
Amongst the people that are doing pupillage for 2021, we have those that are covered by LPC contract, which you have indicated that they'll write the LP exams. And we have those that were admitted prior the 1 November 2018, and some of them that were not yet admitted by then, but are doing pupillages. What is their status? Because I understand with LPC, the contract are not repetitive. Like, for example, if you take a contract this year and you don't make it, next year you're not eligible to have another contract.
Yeah, look, I'm not aware of that. What your last point that you just made. But let me say this, and I think this is exactly the answer I've given earlier. if you are admitted before 1 November 2018, that date is important because it's the date that the LPA came into existence and the LPC, 1 November 2018. If you were admitted before that time, in terms of section 115, you're not supposed to write the admissions exams, because these are, as the heading says, is the admissions exams for you to be admitted as an advocate. You don't even have to do your conclude a PVT contract if you already admitted there. So what you need to do, if you were an attorney at that time, you can then apply for conversion to the LPC. There are rules in respect of that. There is a very thorny issue on the issue of rules. The LPC still says that you must do, if you're an attorney, you still must do the advocacy training course. But the SCA said no, because you were entitled to be admitted before 1 November 2018, you therefore must be admitted. And LPC rules, to that extent, they are ultra vires the act. But like I said, the LPC is taking the matter to the Constitutional Court. So it's an issue of interpretation of Section 115 of the LPA Act. Now, if you had your LLB prior to 1 November, as per 115, you are eligible to be admitted as an advocate without undergoing the PVT contract and admissions exams. So I hope I've made that very clear. If you have your LLB and you got your LLB before 1 November 2018, you don't have to write our exams. You are eligible in terms of 115 for admission. And at least you are backed up by what SCA in Alves' judgment said. But however, if after 1 November, you got your LLB after 1 November 2018, you must still undergo the entire process and write our assessments.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Nandu, sorry to interrupt, Consul. I had the pleasure yesterday of meeting Nicholas T, and he has a question. Nandu, I'm gonna bring him in preference, and I hope you fine with that. Nicholas, your question to advocate.
Good afternoon, Council. Good afternoon, colleagues.
Afternoon.
I would like to commend Molotsi SC for a very, very good summary of an enormous amount of work that has gone into getting these exams prepared. I would like to I've been in practice since 1989, and I'd like to mention one extra bit on the reading list. I was lucky enough last year in April to work with Ismail Hussein SC to write the norms and standards. And then we got all the comments from all of the bars. And then the finalized norms and standards were published in December by the Legal Practice Council. So when we were asked to prepare the exams for the LPC exams, and I agree that the LPC is the only valid examiner, it is the regulator. And unfortunately, all bars, mine included, have got to step in line, unless they want to go and try and fight it in the Constitutional Court. But I don't think they've got any chance. The legislation is clear. And if you want to change legislation, the best place to change legislation is in Parliament. But let me speak about how we got the reading list. We consulted so widely with all advocates, and not only in the Zoom meetings, and there were plenty of Zoom meetings, and a particularly, I think maybe it was a Teams meeting, a particularly well attended and well hosted meeting chaired by Christina Kunta a couple of months back. And what we decided is that we were going to draw up this reading list so that there would be no people who would fall through the cracks, so to speak, who wouldn't have a fair chance to pass the exam. Now, since I was one of the people writing the exams, we knew exactly what areas had to go into the reading list. And so we've made sure that everything on the exam paper is covered in the reading list. But obviously, you've only got 1 hour for the 4 papers and 5 hours. So we can't ask a question that will last you 3 or 4 days just to answer one question. So we've limited it to 1 hour. But I'll tell you what I found the most interesting. In order to put together this reading list, we asked all of the bars for their curricula so that we could see what the bars are training. And we came across the PABASA reading list. And what PABASA had done is that they had taken their curriculum and married it step by step to the norms and standards. So when we drew up the reading list, we made the PABASA curriculum the linchpin for all advocates, and then we added in extra things that we needed from the GCB and other bars. And now we've got a trimmed down reading list, and the reason we trimmed it down, normally pupillage is a year long, we've got 4 months, so we couldn't ask people to read a year's worth. So we trimmed it to 4 months. And there's one last point I'd like to make. We would ask people to read the reading list for 2 reasons. One, it will be the bedrock for your practice for the rest of your life. 2, the Legal Practice Council is there to test the minimum standards. So we are not out to find out what you don't know. The exams are set to find out what you do know. Because if you can show what you do know, you are worthy to be an advocate. And that is absolutely imperative. And the last little gem of the reading list, please read Judge Owen Rogers' article on the hopeless case. It's a gem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. I really appreciate your input. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicholas. Nandu, your question?
Hi. So not to go back, but just for clarity, I know you've mentioned those that were admitted 1 November or before 1 November 2018, but you only spoke about attorneys. Does this also apply to advocates who were admitted prior to that date? Will they also still be required to write?
No, they won't be required to write because they are already admitted.
Oh, so even if I got admitted, I've never done pupillage before, I do not have to write the exam.
Yes. Because remember, these are for the admissions exams for you to be admitted. Because you're already admitted, you don't have to write the exams.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Jonathan, your question?
Thank you, Council. Sorry, I just want to clarify because there's just one point sort of post exams that I'm not 100% certain of, and that's the community service requirement for admission. So I don't know if you'd be able to just give a little bit of clarity in terms of that aspect. Just so
I didn't get that.
The community service requirement for admission as an advocate. I just would like to know if there's any clarity just in terms of that. This is obviously post exams, but I think there's a provision that requires you to have completed certain community service prior to being admitted. I could be completely mistaken, so please forgive me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, what your requirements that you need to comply with? They are stated in Regulation 7, subsection 9. Those are the only requirements that you need to comply with for you to be admitted and enroll as an advocate. I assume you're asking about post-admission. Am I right?
Sorry, again, I might be mistaken. I was under the impression that there was a certain requirement for community service prior to getting admitted.
No.
Not.
No.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Everything that you need to do is contained in Regulation 7, subsection 9.
Okay, no, thank you for the clarity.
Thank you.
Nalisa, your question. Nalisa? Okay, Council, there's a question from Sipiwe. Hi, I just want to re-ask Andrew Shikawa's question. We have pupils who don't have contracts with LPC as the contracts are not repetitive. Where do they fall in terms of exams as LPC covers those that are contracted?
Yes, unfortunately, if you don't have a PVT contract and it's not registered, you can't write exams. That's the reality. So you won't be covered by the exams.
Thank you. I'm just seeing, is there any further questions? Council, from the questions
yes.
we've covered.
I have.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
AJ, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Council, I have a question. It's Arnaus. My question is those who were with the JSA or with the other bars last year and they didn't make it. They had the PVT contracts and this year they don't have. What is their status if they want to write exams? And they are not admitted.
Yeah. So they meaning that they don't have PVT contracts this year. Do I understand you correctly, Arnaus, that they don't have PVT contracts registered for them this year?
My understanding is that they wouldn't because they are not repeating the whole pupillage. They did pupillage last year, but they are not doing pupillage, but they just want to write the exams.
Yeah, it will be difficult for them to write because they don't have a registered PVT contract for 2021. But like I said earlier, I mean, people's like that, they are not lost into the system, and LPC is quite very conscious about them, and we want to help them. We want to help them in a sense that I think sometime this year there was a notice issued out to all pupils who were not successful last year by the LPC to say that the LPC is willing to also offer through LEAD a 5-week course for you as a pupil to do your courses, and then if you are successful, then you can be able to apply for enrollment. My information is that there was not a lot of reception towards that suggestion from the LPC. And I'm sure that the LPC again will make that suggestion so that we make sure that people who are going through the cracks, we are able to help them and make sure that they can still achieve their dreams of being admitted. I mean, as to whether they can still write for in March, I think they should be given an opportunity to write in March. And I will raise the issue in the LPC so that those people can be accommodated. Because I think if we let those people astray on us, will not be complying with our legislative objective of opening the profession. Because not everybody would want to belong to a bar, or if you fail your exams and you don't want to repeat your pupillage, there must be something that the LPC should do to a people like that, so that they can still be able to achieve their dreams.
Council, in response to Arnaud's question, we will certainly be formulating a proposal to the South African Bar Association, because there are a number of advocates ready for admission or want to be admitted, that as a result of that particular issue find themselves having fallen by the wayside. So we'll prepare such a proposal on behalf of any person who wish to be represented in such a proposal, and then bring that formally as an association to the LPC.
Absolutely, definitely. No, thank you very much, Ben, for that. I think the LPC will welcome that. Thank you.
Sorry, Council, can I just, to add on to that, I've been speaking to Melissa about this. And she did say those pupils could write the September exam. I stand to be corrected.
Well, I mean, if they don't have their PVT contracts for this year, but let's verify that. Let's verify that, and I will ask a notice to everybody else so
Okay,
that
and then
we verify.
And then to follow up on that, would they have to repeat the modules that they passed with the various? Would they have to rewrite?
Yeah, look. I mean, the logic tells you if you have passed a course, why do you have to repeat it?
Yeah, because I heard it has to be repeated, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, I mean that's something that the LPC must decide at some point. But I'm saying to you now, let's look at it from the logical point of view. You have passed a course. Do you have to go and repeat it if you want to complete some of the courses that you failed last year? Does that happen with the candidate attorneys? The answer is no. So why must the people's advocates be treated differently? So I think it's something that the LPC must make a decision on. But from a personal point of view, I really see no logic whatsoever for a person who has passed a course to be told he or she must repeat that course. It makes no sense.
Council?
Go ahead.
Council, I just want to get a bit more clarity. I'm so sorry for asking. So let's say PVT contracts are 12 months, and then you write the exams in September, and then you unfortunately do not pass your exams. So that means you'd have to wait for March. So that means you'd have to register a new PVT contract in January to write the exams in March. Am I correct? Is that mine?
No, not really, because you would have done you would have registered your PVT contract. You have done your 400 notional hours, so there's no need to register another contract for you to write in March.
Oh, okay. So once I've done my PVT for that year, it's done, and my 400 hours is done. So the only thing I'll be required to complete is the exams.
Correct. You need to pass the exams.
That's it from there on. So then I would just have to register for the exams in 2022.
Correct.
Okay.
Afternoon, Council. Nelisa Gwele from Pabasa.
Yes.
Council, mine is a bit of a tricky one. I completed my articles way before 2014, and I wrote and passed all my attorneys admission board examinations. But I never fully pursued my application for admission as an attorney. This year, I'm a pupil at Pabasa. Now, I'd like to know if I am eligible for, or whether I should sit for advocates bar examinations.
Well, I mean, on a proper reading of what Elvis judgment of the ACA saying, which says that in terms of Section 115 of the Legal Practice Act, everybody who was entitled and to be admitted as an advocate in terms of Section 3 of the Advocates Admissions Act. And remember, there were only few requirements in terms of that old act. You must be 21, you must have a LLB, you must be fit and proper person, you must have a South African citizenship. Now, in terms of that judgment, the SCA says that you don't have to do anything else except that you must be, you must make your application for admission. But like I said, we are taking the LPC is taking that matter to the Constitutional Court. But I think you are covered by what the proper reading of what Section 115 of the LPA says.
Okay, just a follow-up question.
Because before 1 November 2018, you would have been entitled to be admitted as an advocate, I hope.
Yes, but the board examinations I wrote were for admission as an attorney. I do understand the Section 3 provisions, but now, okay, no, that's okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Council?
Yes, I've got 5 minutes left.
Yeah, let me just scan. I think If there are any other questions left, we can probably deal with them now. Failing which, what remains for me to do is to thank you for your time and for your willingness to come and assist us. And thank you for taking my call early in the morning to discuss these issues. And I know that you're a busy man, and taking time out of your practice to share your experience and knowledge and insights with us is invaluable. And we thank you for that. And I think if we were to ask all of the participants to unmute, you would hear the roaring applause that they would give you for having taken the time out to be of assistance to us.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Thank you
I
very
just
much.
want to thank our participants for joining us. As you know, as the South African Bar Association, we have a session every Thursday afternoon. Next week, we're hosting the South African Black Women in Law. One or two of the presenters will speak about some of the challenges that females face in the profession and what we all should be doing to assist females in the profession, whether they be advocates, attorneys, paralegals. It's a very, very important session to attend. Advocate Molotsi, thank you so much. To all our participants, thank you for joining, and we'll see you again next week, Thursday.
Thank you very much. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.